going to do a demonstration in the ongoing critique series, one of many, and if you haven't had a chance to see them, make sure you go to 5pencilmethod.com and take advantage of those and the free tutorials that are available. You can also see many of them on YouTube, but that'll help you understand what I'm referring to, because students from all around the world are sending in pictures to have maybe a recommendation or a critique, and even though there's a lot of different levels and a lot of different styles and techniques to do, I'm referring to things on the basis of the 5-pencil method. So just want to make sure that you have the opportunity to explore it and see what it's about. You'll understand what I'm doing and what I'm referring to. This particular drawing, I think, has a lot of challenges. I don't always know what a person's trying to achieve, and yet I see some things that I want to take advantage of so that you can, again, have some things to pay attention to, maybe things you didn't notice or don't understand, and maybe I can just help simplify a few things and help you watch out for angles and dimension and some of the things that I think we can change, the structure of the face. And there are a number of things, again, that we'll do not only in the face but even in other areas. I'm not going to spend, I hope, not too much time, but I do want to go ahead and take you through a few things. I can't see the photograph real well, and yet I think there's enough for us to go on that we can see that there are some things. As you see, the nose is very close to the edge of the face, and we have quite some distance here. The eyes are looking off the other way, and it's possible that whoever did this would like to change the direction of the eyes. That's kind of tricky unless you understand the anatomy and some of those things. So I'm going to go back to what I see in the photograph. Another thing is that when you have a face turned, and this is probably somewhat of a three-quarter pose, you are going to need to take into consideration that we have some perspective going on, that we aren't going to see parts of the face. We are going to see maybe whole sides of a face on this side, but over here, look how short it is, and it's even going to be shorter when I get finished. So it's real tempting sometimes to, I think, put the elements like eyes and nose and mouth like you're used to seeing them and you're most familiar with. And instead of taking consideration that we have a special set of angles and some perspective and foreshortening and all the different things that are going on in this picture, we have a tendency to try to draw them like we're most familiar. And so we put them almost as if she was looking straight forward at us. So I want to show you, I hope, some things that will really help. And there are a few things that I want to take a look at as far as the shape, again, of the eyes and how what's disappearing around and out of our sight. And so let's take that first one. This is going to look kind of odd at first. We would probably see this eyelid almost kind of go around that eye. And I'm going to put a little more color. We'll make some adjustments. I'm going to just kind of try to get my feel for this. Let's go ahead and bring this down a little bit different here. And she's a blonde girl, so that changes some of the things too. Let's just see. We'll just whittle away here and see if we can incorporate some of the things that I think are going to be important. Because she's turned at this angle, there's something that happens. We are going to again have something that was originally in the middle of her face, and let's just put down what we think is probably the middle. This is probably what we're looking for. And so we want to be able to keep track of that because it helps us understand how we're going to want to structure this face. And as we bring the middle here, then that means that the nose is probably going to be coming over here at enough of an angle that it's actually blocking our view of part of the eye as it goes around behind this portion, this bridge of the nose. So I'm going to knock the corner of that off, I hope. Yeah, it comes off. Let's go ahead and change this nostril a little bit. I hope you can see what I'm doing. And let's go ahead and bring this lip around here so that we can use that Cupid's bow as the center and bow it back up again and then come back down closer to the I think you'll start, as soon as I get finished, just giving it a general restructuring here, you'll start seeing some of these things fall into place. And it is enough different that we're never going to have it be exact, but I wanted to show you how I would approach this. I'm looking at things and lining them up with vertical alignment and horizontal alignment. And so I'm always comparing. This comes up a little bit to the right of where, if I had a straight line, right straight up, it's over to the right of where this nostril is. So if this nostril's over here, then this corner of the mouth would be over here. There's always something to reference, usually, to help you understand where your structure is going to be appropriate, where it's going to line up. Some of this isn't going to come off too well, so we may be stuck with a few things here. So now we can come in here and possibly take this and pay attention where the bend in this is. Oh, it looks like it's probably between the nose and the lips. So at least we know about where that curve is. Gives us a wonderful reference point. And now, here's the center of this lip, and here's the center of this lip. Then we have a philtrum, that little indentation there above her Cupid's bow and above her lip, her upper lip. And we can go ahead and come down the center of that for the center of her mouth. We also have some lighting issues too that make it quite different. Now, as I'm looking at this, and I know it's hard to see, but as I'm looking at this, her eyebrow isn't going to come towards the middle like it would if she was looking straight forward. It's actually going to be moved over, and so I see from this place where it's hiding that corner of the eye, this angle actually goes right up like this. And if I hold this in pretty much the same angle, I can mimic that, at least to a degree. And now I know where my eyebrow is. It's on that side of that line. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Now, if you take a look at her forehead, this one, and again, I know it's difficult to see, it's the direction of the light behind her, but this forehead goes up. It's not straight up, but if you have this close, if you have a chance to have a source, we can come up here, and, 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 to see the right perspective on it. And let's take out this. So now we are starting to get her forehead back to where it maybe is a little bit more realistic here. Now, like I said, the temptation is often to form an eye or a mouth or a nose in the way we're most familiar with it. And because we don't really know how to structure things often in a perspective, or when the face is turned one way or another, and we don't know how to communicate that foreshortening and that distance and all those things, it's easy to still be influenced by that eye. Well, how do I draw an eye? Well, I draw an eye like this. And you can't just paste an eye from a different direction in that place. So we have to think about things shaped differently. Let's go ahead and see if we can go ahead and go ahead. That's a good one, huh? Let's go ahead and take this. And take into consideration the angle of the eye. But this would be going up. In fact, the eyelashes probably kind of come out like this a little bit. And it helps us get a little bit of an understanding or a justification for changing the structure here. Now we have everything disappearing around behind that eye. I'm going to darken this up because it looks like there's too bright of a spot after I erase that. In our minds, if you've seen my lessons on eyes, in our minds we naturally expect to see the darker, heavier line at the top because from a distance it's our longer, fuller upper eyelashes creating that value. And also there's some shading onto the eye because of it. Okay, now I do not want to have this get confused with the chin, so this is why I have the chin there. It's blocking the view now of the cheek. And also I don't want the hair to become confused with the side of the face. So I guess I'm going to go past it and just take a liberty and make that a little darker. Probably wouldn't be that way, but we can come out here and make it a little fuller. It's our creation. We can do whatever we want. But I want to go ahead and show that that isn't the edge of the face. This is actually coming out here a little bit further. And this chin would be formed a little different. I don't think I'm going to be able to reform that very well. No, I'm not going to be able to. But now her chin is not quite so full and round. A little bit more of a flat bottom on here. And this blocks our view of the neck just a little bit. I wonder if you can see that. Blocks our view of the neck a little bit. So this gives us an opportunity to come to the neck and say, well, okay, this goes on past our view because the chin or the underside of the chin and jaw is actually blocking our view. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I draw a conclusion to this. That I know that if I didn't have the face in the way, I'd see that hair go right up there. Okay, now I don't want this to just be the line of the neck, which could easily, at first impression, it seems like that could almost be the edge of her neck. But it's odd, it wouldn't be that way. And so I like to take these liberties. I want to be able to take something that is going to help me change the angle, even if it's just a little bit. And I'm going to come around here like this, and fortunately there is a curve to the hair, and I'm going to change these angles so that I have this. And again, this isn't going to be perfect, but now I have a chance to just suggest to my mind that the neck starts coming down and joining the shoulder. And this is going to be a great opportunity for me to satisfy my mind that the anatomy is a little more correct. So now if I came up here, it would just slope up and become part of that. Okay. Now, I like to conclude things, so I don't want this to be confused. So I could take this as another color and come out this way. She's got blonde hair, but we won't be able to do anything about that. But I still can show that the garment is a little darker and pull that hair forward. Let's go ahead and see if we can do a little bit of that over here too on the other side. And I'm going to fade it away because I want to suggest that it's going underneath the hair to where it's a little darker, and so I want things to have a gradation, not to just completely be the same color. Now, here's another opportunity. Instead of having this garment, and just think about how things drape on your body. Things have to go around our neck or over our shoulders and around behind, and they go around and come around the other side. So instead of having this go this way, I think you can probably see that this starts going this way and goes around behind her. So we want to take advantage of that. We want to be able to take advantage of that. And I'm just going to take the liberty and create a shadow. And when I'm creating a shadow, I want a clean edge where it starts, where it's going underneath that garment. And then I want to come out with a soft edge where it comes into the light. But look at how much dimension this is giving us. This is giving us the opportunity to have a little space between the garment and her, especially if it went across where the collarbone is, and there's not going to be the same plane. It's not going to be flat, but there's going to be a little variance here. So as we come over here and we find that middle place of the collarbone, I don't know what that clavicle, collarbone, that little place, that indentation right there in the center is what this is. And if we didn't have it there, it might look odd. It's there. Our minds expect to see it, even though it's subtle and it's not that prominent. And we don't want to do this. We don't want to see subtle things like this and make too much out of it. Otherwise, it just becomes too much. It becomes something other than subliminal. Just want it to be gentle and just reference it. And then over here, this would be in the shadow, and it would be coming back this way, lighter, lighter, lighter. This is not art paper, so it doesn't really do everything I'd like it to do. But now, let's come up here to the ear and just take a few opportunities to change that a little bit. This ear appears much smaller than this one. And I looked at it and I thought, well, you know, maybe it's because we suddenly missed this upper ridge of our ear, you know, this part right here. And I think that it was drawn over. So let's go ahead and take some of that out. And again, we're not going to do a whole lot more than just be able to make sure we structure this thing a little different. We're not going to get rid of all this stuff. But the ear would come up here and we'd have that ridge. And then we have other opportunities. Well, I wish I could get that off of there. Some places where it's really dark, I can't. But then we have opportunities to show depth because things go underneath that ridge. It's not going to look really great here, but I don't want to get obsessed with the detail here, but I at least want to let my mind know that there is a normal, acceptable ear here. And so that changes a lot of things too. That changes where this is. Look at how much farther over it is from this area. So maybe I can now make the lobe a little bigger. Look at how large this is instead of it being quite so narrow. And what I'm saying is, look at how things line up with something else. It's going to be one of your greatest advantages. It's always there for your reference. It's always there for you to compare. And it's not like you have to always know anatomy. It helps. The more you draw people, the better it's going to be. But this is a great opportunity for you to just learn how to line something up, like I said, vertically, horizontally, look at angles and how things might line up that way. And you'll be amazed at how accurate your drawings can become. It's just, and it makes it so much more rewarding too if you can do that. Let's go ahead and take this hair and let's make sure that this doesn't become the neck, because I think the neck kind of goes behind the hair as well. So let's go ahead and take this and bow this in front of the neck, and then we can kind of suggest that this is going underneath. The hair is here, and it's draping over just a little bit onto the shoulder. And then let's go ahead and make sure we know that by taking this, a clean edge, and going underneath the hair and then casting a shadow. So now we know that that isn't the edge of the neck, it's the hair that's creating that edge, just by the way we apply this shadow. And again, I can't stress it enough that if you are very careful to not put too much pressure, but to use the appropriate pencil to obtain your value, that you're going to have the opportunity to modify and change and alter by taking your pencil off as well as put it on appropriately. And there opens up all kinds of opportunities. You don't have to feel like you're at a dead end or you just ruined it because you can't make changes. And it's just a wonderful, empowering feeling to know that you have the opportunity to take your time, assess things, see how things work out, try one thing, and then maybe something else if that didn't work well, and have the opportunity to gradually develop it into the structure or what you want it to look like. Maybe it is just the mood or whatever you want to capture, but make sure that you have an opportunity to give yourself a break and not commit yourself to something that you can't back your way out of. It's a great, great opportunity. So again, she's a blonde, but I think we've got a good base. There are things about clothing and some of these things that I think are a lot easier than some people may think. And we want to just take into consideration what's in front of what. And in this case, it looks like, her garment goes down in between her arm. We have some folds. And if you look and see the structure here, it might be a little easier than having something coming straight out like this, which could be, I guess. There's a lot of different types of clothes, but it is probably better to take advantage of what you see so that you can get a believable structure going on here. And so some of these folds and rolls would be the logical way it would drape on a body. And then we have a chance to show that this goes towards her armpit and probably gets a little darker, which solves a huge problem because now we start having dimension. And then we have her arm coming down here, which we don't have to do a whole lot with. But when we come over here, we want to be able to show that something is possibly in front of her arm. And these folds that come down are a great opportunity for that because they can loop in front of the edge of her arm. So we know that isn't her arm. It just helps clarify things. We know it isn't her arm by doing something like that. Now what would I do? I would show that as it's coming out from underneath, we have a shadow, especially the direction the lighting is coming. It's not hard to imagine it would be quite dark there. So now I start having not only a shadow caused by her garment on her arm, but I start giving some contour to her arm as well. So it doesn't have to just remain flat and nondescript. And I don't have to really do a whole lot with it because our minds are amazing in that they will finish things for us. As long as we get it going in the proper direction or suggest something that's logical, our minds are just fantastic at finishing things. And leaving things to the imagination becomes a great advantage. Now I see a space here. Just, it's very slight. You may not be able to see it. But if I didn't want her arm to become too bulky, I could show the space in here. And I could show this as a light area, but you see it gives me a chance to create an edge to her arm. So now I don't have this large arm that I didn't know where it began and where it ended. I can go ahead and now make her more of a delicate young girl and not have to worry about some of those things. So it's the same thing over here. We can come down and create an edge. We can have it get darker here. We can have this go towards the armpit. We can create a shadow. There's all kinds of things we can do to now make it more general and believable than just leaving it with, I don't know what to do. Following the rules of light, some of the very basic fundamental principles are always a wonderful advantage, and they will allow you to do some of the most amazing things when you thought you didn't know anything about anatomy or drawing. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these two together. And so we have a chance to see where we started and where we ended up. And even though we weren't able to change everything, I think you can see that there's some dramatic changes to the perspective and the structure and where things go around and out of our sight, where we should put clean edges, where we should have our opportunities for contour, where we can see in and out of a curve, and also be able to capture this particular individual. And I hope it helped you so that you can have more fun as you draw. So let's go ahead and meet again in our next demo.